tower defense strategy, which I think is the best tower defense game to ever exist. In today's video, I'm going to be sort of reviewing tower defense strategy. First off, I'm going to be discussing the tutorial for tower defense strategy. The tutorial is pretty straightforward. It teaches you how to move, select your vessel, and mine. It also tells you about the resources, or in this game is called aura. And each aura has its own color relating to its purpose. Red being offensive, blue being defensive, and yellow being for wealth. Towers and units each require their own aura resources to create, and the aura color directly representing their purpose. The game also teaches you how to navigate through the maps, or several different ports or buoys. Starting off with the first level is one path and 2 aura mines, and also some pretty useful placements right up here, where this sort of bridge is. But for some reason, sometimes the game tells me that this is actually a bad spot, and I'm not exactly sure why that is, but I'm going to talk about it a bit later into the video. While I was playing the first level, I realized I didn't have to use walls. So I saved some of my blue aura and instead used my vessel to fight off these enemies so they wouldn't get past my archer tower here. The reason why I wanted to save blue resources here is so I could use those later for a bomb tower or more range upgrades for an archer tower. The Maul is one of the first sort of bosses that you fight in the game. This is also the first sort of gimmick enemy in the game, as it has AoE damage, which lets it hit through walls or buildings behind walls or towers behind walls that are close to them. And this was especially effective against my defense here because I had 2 layers of walls, with one layer being spike walls and one layer being regenerating walls. After Tide 9, there was a bit of a difficulty spike with a bunch of tanks. And I think I struggled against this because most of my towers had range upgrades, which didn't really help with a bunch of tanks. This next level, Gridhead, I wouldn't necessarily say the second level because there's different levels you can go to, such as Fracture and Galbas's Scaffold. So technically, there's no absolute definition for the second level. Though the levels in this game took quite a while to record, so most of these are probably not going to be in this video. But anyways, Gridhead felt super challenging because Gridhead had 2 separate enemy spawners on 2 different sides of the map. Though this attribute of there being multiple lanes is completely nullified by the fact that both lanes converge exactly at the entrance to the castle, which is the most convenient spot to place your defenses. So to me, Grid Ahead as a level just kind of seems like a failed attempt at a split lane sort of situation that the player has to deal with. And that being said, let's talk about what the castle has inside of it, really. Or this map has inside. First off, it has all the aura resources you need. They're also in the same place that you need to defend, unlike the first level, where the blue aura mine is not in the same path to get to your basin. With there only being one exception, which is the red aura crate, which is pretty negligible and pretty much isn't worth it. Another note about this map is when you're mining with your vessel at one of these ore mines, it gives you sort of extra defense because your vessel will prioritize enemies over aura mines. Now it's time to talk about the progression. In this game, you progress just by getting past a certain amount of tides. And I think the best thing about this is that you don't have to complete all the tides on a level, or you don't have to really win, I suppose. Which makes it very easy to progress as someone just starting out. That being said, there's still some very good motives to win or to get further. Like right here, I reached Tide 25, and as a result of that, I got a Cardinal and a new vessel. As opposed to where I reached Tide 5 on that same map, and it filled up the progress bar to get the new vessel a little bit. Moving on to how I got this far was because of the really easy access to resources at the start of the game, which let me build my defenses really quick. And I had all sorts of archer towers and bomb towers. And in these later waves, the game has a lot more gimmicks, such as Onaugers. Onaugers will shoot over walls and directly target the closest thing, or at least in my experience, the closest thing. Such as this farm where my yellow resources were. The Onauger shot over this and shot my mining huts. And the way to combat this is you place walls and get rejuvenation, which heals nearby towers and units each wave. And this makes it so that in between tides, the mining towers will not die. Because Onaugers do not do that much damage, but their main gimmick is that they do area damage. Oh my god. Later this run, I got to Tide 25, and that's where it spawned Hyper Malls, which are basically malls, but they go super fast. And basically what this did is it made it so the malls attacked super fast, and basically made it so I had almost no way to fight back with my vessel, so I couldn't get any of that bonus damage. But it also made it so that they could get all the way to the entrance quicker. And since they also move so fast, the dynamite towers would often throw dynamite and miss because they're no longer close enough to where the tower originally threw the dynamite, because it has a really long travel time. This is also an example of how some upgrades can sort of shoot yourself in the foot, because with that longer travel time, I missed out on a bunch of damage I could have had. This is also where I unlocked Snow, the new vessel, and a Cardinal. So now I'm gonna go over Cardinals and Snow. Cardinals are basically passive abilities that you will have, and they will help you throughout your runs. There are many different Cardinals in this game, and one of my favorite probably has to be the Blurry Photo Cardinal. That is unlocked by the level called Woozy. What this Cardinal does is it doubles your vessel. or it doesn't really double your vessel, but what it basically does is it creates a copy of your vessel that has altered stats, or sort of downgraded stats. Though there's one stat that remains the same, which is range. And the vessel also keeps its passive as well. So for a vessel like Snow, the blurry photo is very useful as it allows you to reload your snow cannons while you can still have your actual vessel mining the aura resources. Speaking of Snow, I'll briefly go over Snow's kit. What Snow has access to is a heater, snow box, snow cannon, and ice brick. These function similarly to Smacky, as the snow box is something that helps you get aura resources, and the snow cannon is a single target, and the heater is a multi-target, and the ice brick is basically a wall. Though some differences between Snow and Smacky is that your single target tower, the snow cannon, has to be reloaded manually, as well as the snow box is an AoE sort of resource grinder, but is not very good for just being on top of a singular aura mine. The heater is basically the bomb tower, but I would say a little better, because there's no travel time on this heater. Though the only downside is that it doesn't synergize with the rest of Snow's kit, as it melts nearby snow. So you can't place it next to your snow cannons, otherwise your snow cannons are not going to have ammo because the heater melts the snow. And lastly, the ice brick. Though the difference between Snow's defensive tower and Smacky's defensive tower is that Smacky's defensive tower can heal over time by itself, but with Snow's defensive tower, you have to make your vessel run through the wall to place snow on it. And what this does is it gives the wall health. It can also get overheal as well. Anyways, back to talking about the blurry photo. If your main vessel dies, it will also kill the mirrored vessel. And when your mirrored vessel dies, it will spawn on top of where your regular vessel is. So to say the least, the blurry photo Cardinal and Snow synergize insanely well. It makes playing Snow as a vessel a lot easier and a lot more manageable, because you can use your duplicated vessel to reload your snow cannons, and you can use your actual vessel to mine aura resources. With all that being said, I think Tower Defense Strategy is a really good game. Though this game is almost $20, which makes me lose all sort of respect I had for it. Though, after this recording, I looked at the patch notes and stuff on Steam and realized that this game is probably almost $20 because the devs are learning this game engine, Unity, from scratch. And I think it was very brave of Blockage to do this, but overall it was not good long term. Though, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you like tower defense games, you should 100% pick up Tower Defense Strategy on Steam.